Hey guys, welcome back to my shop and welcome to part 2 of the coffee table build. Now last week you saw in the first part of this series, and if you haven't seen part 1, go back and make sure you go on my channel and watch that video because you'll see how I made these cabriolet style or Queen Anne style legs. And today what we're going to be doing, or in this video what we're going to do, because it's not going to take just a day, we're going to have to shape all 4 of these legs because you see when they come off the bandsaw they're very sharp and they're kind of rough. And all the edges and everything. We have to work on the mortises, which I've laid out on all the sides that need mortises to house the apron. That's going to come around the table, which is going to hold the top. So we're going to work on the apron today. We're going to work on the legs. We're going to work on the top finishing with the stain and then the polyurethane. Then we're going to assemble everything and we should get this thing done. Alright guys, so stay with me. We're going to start working on this. Alright, so the first thing I want to do here is cut my mortises using my mortising machine. This is going to give me perfect square mortises. I won't have to do any chiseling afterwards. Maybe just a little cleanup, but that's about it. Alright guys, here we are at the workbench now. I have the legs in the vise. I cut all the mortises on all the sides of each one of the legs that I need. So now I can use various hand tools. A spoke shave here. You'll see me start to shape to the lines that I drew. And then I'm going to use some files, a rasp, a card scraper, and various different hand tools that I need to shape these legs to smooth them out. And now what I'm going to do is just use the belt sander in my vise here, and I'm just going to work off any really deep marks that I just couldn't get with the files because it was just taking way too long. So I'm going to cheat a little bit here. Use the belt sander with an 80 grit paper. I'm going to remove all those heavy tool marks. Now off camera I've milled up some more poplar, and now I'm cutting the pieces to the apron. Now I'm ripping these down to 2 3/4 wide. That's the exact width that I need for my final dimensions. Now that I cut the aprons to length, I can mark out my tenons. The first thing I'll do is create a shoulder at the table saw right to my layout lines. After I cut out the shoulders at the table saw, it's off to the bandsaw, and now I can create the tongue or the actual tenon. Now I need to create a haunch on both sides of this tenon here, so what I'm going to do is use a handsaw and clean it up with a chisel. I'm just going to do a quick dry fit here. Make sure the tenon fits snug, but not too snug where it'll split the wood if it expands and contracts. And now I'll put some glue inside the mortises and then some more glue on the tenons, and we'll clamp everything up and let it sit. Okay, so now I let these set up overnight. I'm going to remove them from the clamps, and then I'm going to work on clamping these together with the side aprons. Once I get some glue on this, and then I'll check it for square while I have it set up in the clamps. This way I can make any adjustments to it while the glue is still setting up, and I won't have to worry about it later on. Alright guys, so I've let this cure out overnight. Took it out of the clamps, flip it over, and here is my nice base assembly for the table. It's nice and stable. There's no rocking in this, completely flat. What I'm going to do here is just essentially what I need to do is clear the deck here because I need to route a profile on the top. So I'm just going to move this down here just to get it out of the way temporarily. Now what I can do is clamp my piece to the table here, and I can route these two edges at one time, then I can flip it around, and then I can route these two edges. So there'll be a minimal amount of movement and clamping, and I'll get the profile done, and then we can get some stain on this thing and let that sit for 24 hours. Then we can get to the finish, and then this thing will be all wrapped up. Alright guys, now we're nearing the end here. I'm going to apply the gel stain and get this top all covered up so we can let it sit and dry overnight. Now I'm going to chisel out by hand some mortises so I can install these mending plates below the top surface of the apron, and that's going to allow the screw head to recess all the way down, and I'll use that to attach the tabletop. And I'm also going to oversize the mortise so that it has room to expand and contract without splitting the top when it's installed. Now I can flip the whole table assembly upside down, set everything to the edge depth that I need, and install the top to the bottom with those mending plates. Okay guys, so what I did off camera was to finish it off was 3 coats of the polyurethane, sanding in between coats with 220 and 400, and then applying the final coat with a spray. And then after that I hit it with 2000 grit just to not only knock down the shine just a tad bit, because that's what the client wanted, but that gets rid of any little imperfections without ruining the finish or making any scratch marks. So as you can see, this turned out really nice, exactly the way I wanted it to, exactly the way the client wanted it to. And I want to thank you guys for joining me in the shop. Make sure that if you didn't see part 1 of this video where I show you how I cut out the legs and everything and how I did that, go back on my channel and you'll find that video there. Alright guys, so if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and also don't forget to click that little picture of the bell that's in the notification corner there. That'll give you the notification every time I upload a video, which is usually on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis. Alright guys, I'll see you next time in the shop.